as property service charges soar. Here's a hefty hike for you. You start off paying that, just over £1,000 a year, but it quadruples to that. Ouch. Lots more examples coming up. And welcome to you all. We're going to start with service charges. You saw that astronomical hike there in the screen. Have any of you been affected by this, Jenny?
Yeah, I have. I'm being affected by it at the moment, actually.
Are you? Yeah.
We bought our apartment, our two-bedroom flat, in 2018, and our service charges were about £1,200 a year. And this year we got a bill for just over £3,000 for those service charges.
Gosh.
And on top of that, we've had a one-off charge for £3,000 to make good on the shortfalls for the last 2 years.
My goodness.
It's a real issue.
Yeah, Richard, you?
I lived in a property for 20 years with a management fee. I was much luckier. It didn't shift in cost over those 20 years. But you hear so many stories like Jenny's, and something absolutely has to be done.
Yeah, and Charlotte, what about
Mine
you?
was all just included in the rent that I paid.
Yeah, but so many people affected by this. And actually, my first property was a leasehold flat, and I remember literally dreading opening any envelope with the management company logo on it because I knew it meant I was going to have to pay some more money. Well, Phil Schechter has been talking to residents in Cambridgeshire about the spiralling costs that they are facing. This is his report.
It's a great apartment, triple glazed, triple insulated, biomass boilers, handy for town, fantastic looking apartments and some great views.
On the doorstep of Peterborough United Stadium, football fan Michael Ferguson was the first person to move into Springview Apartments 8 years ago. It was all part of the UK's first Carbon Zero Challenge development, but residents have seen costs rise.
Service charges started off being £84 a month back in 2018, and they've gone up to £364 now a month. And things have spiralled out of control.
Springview's service charge rates are set by management company Premier Estates, who attribute soaring costs to new building safety requirements, the energy crisis and the pandemic. Residents here are not alone, with about 4 million people thought to be living under this model.
It's the sort of service charge that you would expect now to be seeing if you were in a London apartment. We don't have a concierge. We don't have all the extra bits and pieces that some of the apartments in London have. And I think at the moment, people are finding it hard to sell.
The Green Backyard, which is a community-based garden project.
Kason Kalyurai is one of those people Michael mentioned. He has the property on the market for the second time in 3 years, and the service charge is putting off potential buyers.
I only had 3 viewings in 6 months, and the feedback was, it's too expensive. £4,300 a year is out of a lot of people's budget, so it's becoming increasingly difficult to sell.
How does that make you feel?
You feel a bit stuck, I suppose, doing this interview, I was told, do you want to speak to the media in light of trying to sell your flat? But I feel that, the information needs to be out there.
When I first looked at the flat, I just thought it was amazing.
Donna Nichols bought under a shared ownership scheme and in March was left stunned when her service charge rose to £445 per month.
I can't keep doing this every year, dreading opening that letter. It's caused so much anger and hurt. Yeah, so I think for my own peace of mind, I'm going to have to move.
In Cambridge, you'll find another block where Premier Estates is a familiar name. In the face of charges up to £6,000, Frank Gomer and his fellow residents set up their own building management company. They are now taking the freeholders to court over whether service charges were reasonable.
So if the amount which was spent was justified or could have done more economically. And the problem, of course, is that the freeholder or the property managers, they hold all the information.
A representative of the freeholder said it was confident issues were resolved at the best value. Back at Springview, Premier Estates says service charges are under frequent review and are set at necessary levels. Residents live in expectation they will come down.
But that doesn't help people now. People living on a tight budget. These, after all, 50% of these homes here are affordable homes. They're supposed to be affordable homes, not unaffordable homes.
A lot of emotion there, Richard. I mean, you can see Donna sort of holding back the tears, really. I mean, what's the government doing to help people like Donna?
It's impossible not to be moved by it, isn't it? And for far too long, leaseholders have been held to ransom by unjustifiable management fees and service charges. And I think that's why one of the main reasons the leasehold and freehold reform bill is going through Parliament at the moment. And one of the things that looks to do is what Frank in your segment has done, is make it easier for leaseholders to set up their own management company, to hold management companies to account,
but
change them.
You also heard from Frank there that it's very difficult. You know, you have got this David and Goliath situation here. I mean, is that bill really going to make a difference?
I think it really will. As I've said, for far too long, this has been going on under successive governments. I think before the 97 election, Labour said they would reform the leasehold situation. We said we'd do it in the 2019 manifesto. The time is now for action. People like Frank.
Yeah, I mean, we're 2024,
yeah,
aren't
exactly,
we? So
exactly. The
right.
time is now for action.
Well, let's come to Jenny and Labour and what you would do. I mean, this leasehold and freehold reform bill that Richard was saying. Do you think that's got teeth? Is that going to help?
Everything we're hearing at the moment is that it looks like it's being watered down. And there was some bold ambition to start with, but we know that it's not going to have the teeth that the people originally hoped it would.
So what would Labour do?
So we know that the Law Commission report that was out in 2020 made a series of recommendations that currently aren't being enacted, and that's taking leasehold and allowing common hold and allowing people to take control, management and ownership of their communal parts and common parts, which allows them to set and manage the cost of service charge within it, but also and manage some of the other challenges that come with freehold.
Is that the way forward, Charlotte?
I think you have to address leasehold and abolish it, because it's an unfair way of living in a property. Common hold allows you as a group of residents to work out what works you want to do and how you're going to pay for them.
So you think leasehold absolutely, completely no more?
Yes, because effectively leasehold, as you say, creates a David and Goliath. It's your home. If somebody says you've got to pay this bill or lose your home, what choice have you got?
That's one solution. Another is being put forward by a campaign group. It started a petition. It's got about 16,000 signatures so far, asking the government actually to create a new body to regulate service charges. Have a listen to Suzanne Mooner from the Social Housing Action Campaign.
Well, what we'd like to see is a regulator for service charges that would cover leaseholders, shared owners and full renters, because all of those pay service charges and all at the moment are suffering the same kinds of problems with overcharging, double charging, charging for services that aren't actually being delivered. We think there needs to be an external intervention, through government that really lays everything out a lot more clearly. The legislation at the moment is very vague and patchy.
Richard, that's the accusation. This bill is not going to work. What about the idea of this body to regulate something?
Personally, I think more regulation alongside it could be part of the package of an answer, absolutely. I think the bill will go some of the way. We need to stand up for the leaseholders. We need to stand up for the little guy. We haven't done that historically, and I think it's time for politicians to act.
Okay, would you be in favour of a new kind of body to get involved with this?
So I think it's part of the solution, and we know that where regulators have teeth, they can do good work. We know at the moment that legally people are entitled to see the breakdown of their service charge, and so often that doesn't happen. So yes, being able to enforce more of that is part of it, but we have to look at leasehold reform and have more power behind leasehold reform, move to more common hold, and get away with some of the fundamental issues that sit behind the rising costs and service charge, and sit behind some of these fundamental issues, not just and the regulator's part of it, but it's not the full solution.
Regulation then, would you welcome that?
I mean, it's got to be part of the solution, but I don't think it will really solve the problem. I think you've actually got to address the issue of leasehold, which is not working, because it's not just service charges, there's also ground rent, where people get nothing in return for that. And that can start small and go up to very large amounts. And again, if you don't pay it, you lose your home.
Yeah, big problem. I mean, as Phil said in his report, about 4 million people, we think, living under this kind of situation.